Hey guys, welcome back to Push the Prod. We're here with another video. We get a lot of questions in the comments, and I wanted to see if I can pull some questions in from the comments. And also, I asked my sister, who's in college right now, to reach out to some of her friends who are tech majors, so computer science, CIS, cybersecurity, and just throw some questions at us, some questions that they've been concerned about or that they've needed answer that they haven't really gotten a straight answer for. So we're gonna try to answer these questions. I know me personally, I'm gonna try to give as much detail as possible, and I hope you guys learn a lot from this, and I hope I answer some of the questions that new viewers have. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. We're gonna jump right into this right now. Let's go with the first question. Do I need certs?
Do you need certs?
Well, as of right now, I don't have any certs, but personally, I think having a couple under your belt will really make a difference when you're looking for jobs or you're getting new job opportunities, or just to add on your resume. It kind of boosts it up a little bit.
Do you need certs? No, because it's not going to be the first thing that employers are looking for, but it's definitely going to make you look better than your competition within the workforce. But it's definitely not something that's needed, especially if you're just coming into the field. What I would say is certs is more required for people who don't have experience or a degree. That's when a cert will definitely come in handy.
So, do you need certs? And certs it's a big thing within IT. When someone says, do they need certs, there's different things. So if I'm in networking, should I be getting a Cisco cert? Should I be getting Security Plus? If I'm new into cybersecurity? And certs are definitely important, especially if you're starting out, you don't have a lot of experience. The fact that you were able to secure a cert does kind of show evidence that you do know a good bit about what you're talking about, especially if it's one of those tougher to get certs. So I would say yes, but at the same time, I'd say no. If you know what you're doing and you're able to talk on the specific topic that you're, for example, in an interview for, then you may not need a cert. They will be able to, a good engineer can listen to a potential candidate if they know what they're talking about. If you can speak on that topic well enough and you know the background behind that topic well enough, then I feel like you'll be good without a cert, especially if you have that experience on your resume, because the resume is the first thing they look at. And that's where that cert really shines, because if they're looking at your resume and you don't really have, it's not really beefed up, then that cert can be what you need to at least get the interview so you can even talk on it. So I'd say it's decently important, but not as important as many may think. What do employers look for in a resume?
In a resume, if you're first starting out, definitely you don't want your resume to be over one page. And what they're looking for is, a lot of people get this confused within the IT space. They're not looking for all the technologies that you know how to work with. They're mostly looking for how you used what you had to make it work for that company. So it's not about this technology over this technology. It's about how you used what you know. And
it definitely varies. So I'm going to speak more from engineering roles, engineering within IT, of course. So software engineering, cybersecurity, system administration, network administration. When they're looking at your resume, it's not only about the technologies that you have listed that you know, because anybody can Google what technologies do they need for this and that, or you can just look at the job description and you can see what technologies that they say do you know. So it's about what things you've done. So if you can list out what you've done with specific technologies, that's very important. Also, your education could help on the resume, but more so, make it easy to read and memorable. A lot of people, they want to fit as much as they can on that resume, and sometimes that just makes employer want to toss it away. You want to have it clear, preferably one page. A lot of people, a lot of experience, they have multiple pages on their resume, and that's okay as long as you have the most recent and the most relevant information on that first page. And again, it's clear, things are nice, big, it has all that basic information. That's one thing that is going to help your resume stand out, and that's something that I'd say they look for. Another thing, again, is your experience. What have you done? How long have you done it? What have you done with certain things? So for example, if I say I know AWS, I can't just put AWS on my resume unless you're trying to just say that you got a AWS cert. But I would have to say, oh, I've spun up different EC2 instances and we use these to do blah, 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 this, that, and the other, or we have different app services running. And without getting too technical, it's just, again, just having being able to talk on it from that resume. They want to be able to say, like, this person knows what he's talking about. So that's what I'd say they would look for on your resume.
First of all, it needs to be one page. Basically just getting straight to the point. Don't need a lot of fluff, a lot of extra information on there. How do I negotiate a salary for an entry-level job? Not to be money hungry, but to be paid fairly.
What I'll say about that is it never hurts to ask. So negotiating salary is something that it definitely won't hurt you in the long run. It's not going to be something where if you ask for a certain amount, they're going to look more at the other applicant rather than you. So definitely, but I would say with that, know what you're asking for, because if you look at that range, there's sites like Glassdoor where you can see how much person within that field makes. So I would say definitely do your research before you try and negotiate your salary. Once you know what you should be making, don't be scared to ask.
Usually, before I apply to a job that I'm interested in, I'll go on the internet, I'll go to Glassdoor or any of those other sites, and I'll do an average or a range of what my specific job title is being paid. So I'll kind of base it on that. And then based on what you have, your knowledge, or the certs that you have, you can kind of use that as a leverage on what salary that you desire.
This is something that I struggled with, and I wish somebody would have talked to me about this. I did not want to have the compensation conversation at all. Just pay me fairly. I would hope that I was with an honest employer who would do what's in the best favor for their potential candidate. But what I've learned is you definitely shouldn't be afraid to bring it up or talk about it, because of course it's a job. You're there to make money. And in an entry-level position, that's where it's the most challenging, because you have to know exactly what your worth is. And not to try to say that someone looking for an entry-level position may not know anything about what they're going into. But again, this may be your first time in it, and you may not have all the experience somebody else has. So I say be mindful of what you're really bringing to the table. And basically, for me personally, when I first had my first entry-level position, and I was still in college, and it was my first entry-level position, I didn't care about what they said the salary was going to be. Of course I wanted the most I could possibly get, but I didn't really care too much. I really just wanted the opportunity to go in there and learn as much as I could and basically grow off of that. And entry-level positions, I say this 100 times a day, they are very important. They are key to understanding the back end, not the back end when you're talking about software development, but just the back end, the organization. You understand the people more, and choices that you make when you start getting into those higher positions, how they impact the people and also people in those entry-level positions. And so going back to the salary question and how do you negotiate that, I'd say if you know that you're bringing a lot to the table and you know your worth, definitely bring it up. And especially if you know that they're in a rush to hire somebody, they need somebody, and you're really that skilled, definitely bring what you want to the table. Of course, be reasonable. So check online resources to see what's within that range for that position. And let's say desktop support, for example, just how well do you work with people? How well are you a troubleshooter? Different things like that. So I'd say basically you have to be the judge of that. What did you learn in the real world that college didn't teach you?
Everything. No, I'm just
What did I learn in the real world that college didn't teach me? I learned in the real world that there's a lot more opportunity out there for you. You don't have to stick to one specific skill. I think in college they make you pick a major, so you only have to hone in on that one specific skill. But in the real world, there's multiple avenues that you can go in. You can focus in different type of things. You're not subject to one specific skill. You can branch out.
I would say college taught me the business side of IT, but everything I know now, I did not learn that in college. So all the technologies that I use, basically everything I use in my daily work, I didn't learn any of that from college.
Ooh. So, and this is not to discredit college, because college definitely taught me a lot, but the real world taught me a lot more. And that's one thing that I'm so glad I was, in my last year or two in college, I already had an entry-level position, because some of the things that I was learning in school, I was able to see how that related in the real world. And then when it came to the actual hands-on stuff, I was definitely getting a lot more of that in my actual position. College only taught me more of the conceptual theories behind things. They didn't go too hands-on, and I don't want to say that all the way, because I did have a course where we were completely hands-on. In the real world, I got hands-on completely. I was pushed out there. I learned how to deal with people. I learned how to actually do proper troubleshooting the patients. Dealing with the people doesn't just mean the end user. For example, senior engineers or people who are more experienced. I had some rough engineers, some tough guys, and I'm really glad that I had some of those people, but they taught me how to really get down in there and do my own due diligence before reaching out for support, do my own research. There's a lot of things that the real world teaches you that college just really can't do realistically. So the list would go on if I tried to list that out. What tips can you give a struggling student trying to secure an internship or entry-level position?
Don't be discouraged, don't give up, keep pushing through. It might get harder sometimes, you might want to quit, but just keep pushing through, because there's a lot of opportunities out there, a lot of internships. Every day you have to work at it, you can't be lazy. I know I've had that, being lazy, been wanting to give up a lot of time, but if you just keep at it and you stay focused, then you'll be able to secure those entry-level positions or internships.
There's stages within that whole process, so whatever part you see that you're struggling in, there's definitely something that you can change. So let's say there's the part where you have your resumes, there's the networking part, there's the actual interview. So let's say, for example, you're submitting a whole bunch of resumes, but you're not hearing anything back, then change what you're doing with your resumes. Get some professional help, someone to look over your resume. If you're in the interview process where you're doing a lot of interviews, you're not hearing anything back from the interviewer, get help and start practicing your interviews. So whatever process you're at with where you're seeing you're struggling to gain an internship or entry-level position, work on that part of the process.
The biggest thing would be not giving up, because I'm telling you, when I was applying for different internships, different positions, I was just not getting lucky, and it just felt like it was something that I was doing. And sometimes that may not be it. It just may have been more, a lot of candidates, a lot of competition, people who are more experienced. You have to stay motivated, keep on applying, keep on looking in different places, keep networking, especially for internships. I never had an internship. I jumped right into an entry-level position. I'm glad it happened that way. Internship would have put me more in line specifically with what I was going to school for. An entry-level position kind of put me in a different direction, but it merged in the end. So I would definitely also don't limit yourself to what you're applying for. So for example, if you're a software developer, you're going to school for computer science or software engineering, you don't necessarily have to only look for internships related to software engineering. You can also look for cloud positions, cloud internships, maybe even security. You don't know, you could jump into application security, be a pen tester. I say don't limit yourself into what you're looking for, and also don't get discouraged. Those are the biggest pieces of advice I think I can give in regards to a struggling student trying to get an internship or entry-level position. What is the easiest, most efficient way to make connections?
LinkedIn, especially if you're an introvert. LinkedIn is my top way that I network with people. If not LinkedIn and you're currently taking courses in college, they should have things like career fairs. So make sure that you're attending those, just networking yourself at those events. But I would say LinkedIn is my top way to connect or network.
There are a lot of job fairs that you can go to, career fairs, and LinkedIn is a good site that you can go connect different people that work at different organizations. You can get to know them, and it's better in the long run. Once you have those connections made, it can kind of make that road to your preferred career a lot smoother.
The easiest way, that's probably LinkedIn. But again, if you're just starting off, you don't have that experience, I don't feel like LinkedIn helped me at all. LinkedIn right now is a really good resource for me, but now it's because I'm an experienced professional, and that's what I consider myself. So it's easy to make those connections, it's easy to get recruiters reaching out to you. But when I was in college, or when I didn't really have any experience, my LinkedIn was dry. Like, I wasn't getting any type of communication on that. So it's just going on there and connecting. That's good, but but I don't feel like it's the best way. If you're in college, career fairs, any type of events that they throw, definitely get your behind up and go to those events. Put on that face and to actually talk to people. So increase your personable skills and go there and leave an impression on somebody. Go there and just go there and be curious. Say, hey, I see that all these things are happening. I'm reading articles. I see these things happening. How are you dealing with that in the real world in this type of position? And they're gonna see like, oh, this person they have that right type of mindset that we're looking for. You don't know what could happen when you meet with somebody in person. So I definitely recommend that. If you're not in college, there's online forums. You would be surprised how many professionals are in those forums just like you. Join those online communities, not just LinkedIn, but just even Reddit forums where people are asking different questions. There's so many ways to connect. It's a little bit harder if you're not going to those career fairs and stuff like that, especially if you have no experience, but those are probably the top ways, I'd say. What can I do or say in a job interview that makes me stand out from other candidates?
Okay, usually in an interview, when they get to the part where they ask if you have any questions for them, don't opt out to that. Make sure you ask them a lot of questions. See if you can find some background information or history on the company and ask about that. Ask about the different opportunities that they have at the company, because they really like to hear feedback on that instead of just saying, no, I'm good, and then just ending it off like that.
This is another great question because I feel like there are things you can do. What can you do to stand out? And I've held a few interviews. I've made recommendations for hire, especially in my position now. We're about to get a junior engineer. And what I would say makes somebody stand out, if they're able to come in there and they're able to have a conversation with you on what you're hiring them about. For example, if we're talking about a vulnerability management tool and you're able to say, yeah, have you guys tried this? And you're making recommendations in just the interview. If you can make recommendations in the interview, I'm almost sure that your chances are going to be greater than some of the other candidates. Just go in there. But okay, so let's look at it from an entry-level position. You don't really know too much, but you know what you've learned in school. And let's say you've been looking at online tutorials on YouTube and stuff. Just go in there and say what you can bring to the organization. Talk about the value. Here's one of the key things I always talk about. I always bring up documentation and how important documentation is, how important troubleshooting is. And those are things that can go into any single field or pathway within IT. You're a software engineer. You're talking about debugging. Okay, let's go back to entry level. Your desktop support. You're talking about how deep you go in troubleshooting, the patience you have with people, and how you love helping people. Just really look at the description. Don't try to pull exactly what they said from the description and talk about that, but go deeper into what they have in the description. Show them that you actually kind of know what they're looking for, even though that kind of is hard. But as you become more of a professional and you go into more experience, I should say, and you start going deeper into your field, you know exactly what they're looking for. You should actually have that skill set and be able to talk on that skill set. But when you're entry level, look at the basic things and start going into that. If you can picture what an organization would be like, picture, let's say you're in a call center, you're getting those calls, and you can if in life you can see that some people are lazier than other people. They don't like to get those calls. You should talk to that person in the interview and talk about how energized you're always going to be, ready to take those calls, ready to help people, ready to learn, ready to get those issues that are going to challenge you and increase your knowledge. So those are some things that I'd say would definitely help you stand out. Just be ready, be energetic, be ready to jump in, and try to be as authentic as you can actually be. So, and me saying that is basically telling you to go out there and start changing your, I'll just say lifestyle to kind of fit that a little bit more, just for the business purpose. There's a work-life balance. For the work side of it, go ahead and start doing that.
I'll say two things on that. The first is the job description. So within your interview, say things that are in that job description and repeat some of those things that they have listed within your interview. And hiring managers, I do it every time, and they always notice when I say that. And what it does is it basically tells them that you are vested in that position. Even though you may be interviewing at other places, it tells them that you're focused on this job and it's really something that you want to do. The second thing is managers will always ask you, or The manager or whoever's interviewing will always ask you if you have any questions at the end of the interview. Always have some questions prepared. You never want to be the person that says no to that question, because that's one of the things that will really make you stand out against the other applicants.
Am I limited to internships that pertain to my pathway, or can I take others that are similar? If so, can that hurt me?
To answer the second part of that question, it's definitely not going to hurt you to do an internship that is similar to your pathway. That's what an internship is for. Basically, you are trying to find out what your career path is. So it's definitely not something that will hurt you. In the end, if it is something that you don't like, it's going to direct you to what you do find yourself in. So I would say it's never going to hurt you to take internships that are similar to your pathway. But yes, for the first part of that question, you definitely want to look at something that's similar to your current pathway. And then if that is something that you don't see yourself doing, that's when you want to look at similar positions or internships within different career pathways.
I wouldn't say you're limited completely. It would be nice to go towards internships that you can learn a lot from, specifically to the pathway that you're deciding to go on. But it doesn't have to be exactly what you're going for as far as a major. It just has to be, in that same field. It doesn't have to be exact, but you still want to be close to that major that you're trying to go for.
You are not limited to, and actually let me separate this so you know exactly what I'm talking about. So if you're saying not in your pathway, IT covers this umbrella, and let's say IT covers the umbrella from software engineer all the way in a school of science, all the way to information systems in the school of business, everything in between. So majoring in IT, majoring in cybersecurity, majoring in big data, whatever the majors are now. All of that is under the IT umbrella. And within that IT umbrella, I feel like you can go and major in, you can shoot for an internship within anything in that, because I'm telling you, 9 times out of 10, you're going to come back, you're going to see how that can relate to your field. And while you're even in that field, you're going to be learning things that pertain to what you're learning in school. So I feel like you shouldn't be afraid to travel within that umbrella. And you may even learn a lot more. You can then start beefing up your resume, because your coursework, you learned all of these things that are related to cybersecurity, but you went out and you were a software engineer. So now you have all of these things related to software development. So I'd say don't be afraid to shoot out within the umbrella. That won't hurt you. But if, let's say, you're trying to go outside of that umbrella, that's where you might start wasting your time. And I'd say IT project management is in that umbrella, and I feel like I just needed to add that. But let's say you go outside and you get an internship as an accountant, that may not help at all. Because that's where you start seeing the red tape in organizations, where you're not really gonna learn anything that could help you. You might learn from the backside by you having to put in an IT support ticket for them to help you with something. But yeah, so stay away from doing that. But as long as you're within the umbrella, I feel like you can't go wrong. Okay guys, thanks for watching the video. I really hope you learned something. I hope we answered some questions. If you have more questions, leave them in the comments. We'll try to address them in the comments. If not, we'll make another video. We want to help everybody because IT is such a great field. It has a whole different culture than a lot of the traditional fields out there. It's constantly changing, it's constantly moving. Demand is growing. So if you have any questions, you guys are interested in anything IT related, you have more questions, don't be afraid to leave them. But anyway, thanks for watching this video. Again, I hope it helped. Like, comment, and subscribe. Share this with friends. But have a great day.